Hey everybody, James Quest, and today I just got back from watching Joyride, which is a brand new raunchy road trip international movie where four friends kind of go on this journey of self-discovery, and honestly it follows a lot of the same beats that you would find in those early 2000s like road trip sex comedies, right? Like there is the same usual, like, you know, they're gonna do very similar sex jokes, and there's gonna be like scenes where they're all trying to hook up with people, and then they do drugs at certain points and things kind of get crazy once they do the drugs. And of course there are, you know, things that where they're like, oh, they're keeping secrets from each other, so you have this sort of a liar's reveal type thing, and then this journey of self-discovery because someone wanted to find out who their birth mother was in this other country. And you know, like, it feels a lot like you've seen similar beats in a lot of different movies, so like this very much fits within the similar road trip comedy, a lot of those, I don't know if you want to call them cliches, but very tropes, definitely. So it really does hit those. However, I did find all of these characters to be very likable, and also I think it does help that, you know, unlike those early 2000s movies, this is not about a bunch of white dudes in college. These are all grown adults, women who are all of Asian descent. We find out they're not all Chinese. That, spoiler alert. And you know, it does kind of follow more of a, hey, I kind of want to discover where I came from in this country that I've never been to. And you know, they don't want to admit that at first, but they kind of have to grow into realizing that, like, you know what, I actually do enjoy coming to this country. And then there's kind of another twist that happens later on. But yeah, just, I think when this movie is doing the sex comedy thing of it all, it's really, really working, especially the best friend character, who is, you know, she's just there for comedic relief. She's just there to make all the sex jokes that you can imagine, and she does a really great job with them. And then of course it kind of, and this is just me personally, I think it kind of goes into a lull a little bit when you get into like the, oh, but let's actually have a genuinely nice moment where we're looking at the scenery and how beautiful the country is, and everyone's having these nice moments. And you know, the reason that they're doing this part is because when they inevitably get into, you know, their big fight at the end of the second act leading into the finale, where, you know, they have to break up and everyone's kind of angry at each other, and it's like the, you know, the all is lost moment, right? And then they end up getting back together at the very end. Like, you know, these beats are coming, so that way they can flash back to them later and be like, oh yeah, remember how we had such a wonderful time on this road trip? We're all friends still, you know, like that kind of thing. So on one hand, I really enjoyed the cast, a lot of the jokes, especially when they lean really hard into the sex comedy involved, which, by the way, I was kind of shocked how hard they went, because I didn't, you know, I knew this was like an R-rated comedy, but for some reason I didn't expect them to show as much stuff as they did. They went pretty graphic at some parts, and I was like, okay, didn't expect that. That's pretty cool. But yeah, I think because it follows a lot of the beats, if you've seen some of these movies before, you're gonna definitely recognize a lot of the stuff that's happening. You're like, okay, now they're in a fight, and then they're gonna each have like their own quiet moments of reflection about the trip and how much fun they actually had, and how beautiful the country was, and now they're all gonna get back together in the end, and they're gonna realize they're still friends, and like you know exactly what's gonna happen. Like it's not, you know, breaking any new ground there. But like I said, the cast was really entertaining. I did like the characters. So it also, because it's not dealing with, you know, early 2000s tropes of it being like a bunch of white dudes in college who are all just trying to get laid on their Euro trip, you know, like it's not just that. It's actually like grown adult women who are trying to, you know, maybe some of them trying to get back more in touch with their roots, and some of them are trying to make actual friendships, and they all have like their own things. It did feel a little bit more personal than some of those other, you know, there was a little bit more of a twist to it, you know. So I did really enjoy this movie. You know, like I said though, if you know the beats of these raunchy road trip movies where it's just a bunch of sex jokes and drugs, and you know, someone's keeping a secret, and then there's gonna be like a reveal and everyone's mad at each other, like you know what's gonna happen. You know exactly what's gonna happen. But yeah, overall, I found myself enjoying this movie. I would not mind them basically doing another road trip to some other countries, and they just keep doing it with this same group. I wouldn't mind that at all. But yeah, there you go. That is Joyride. It does have, you know, I think a lot, you know, oddly enough, kind of like Elemental, where I feel like if you come from this background, like if you are in any of the positions that these people are in, you're probably going to have a deeper connection to this than I did. You know, you're going to get a lot more of the stuff that they're trying to convey here, as far as like not fitting in with your own culture because you were raised by white parents, or you were raised in America and you weren't, you know, raised in this country of, you know, where your people come from. So when you visit it, you know, maybe you don't know all the customs, or, you know, or something like that, right? But like I said, just it's definitely very tropey. I don't know how else to describe it. It doesn't, you know, it doesn't like avoid the tropes at all. It fully embraces them, you know, like clockwork. I could kind of tell exactly when things were going to happen. And I will say this, and this is kind of getting to spoilers, I guess. It's in the trailer, so not really, but one of the inciting incidences is that they do run into a drug dealer, this girl on this train, who basically forces them to take all these drugs and hide all these drugs everywhere, and before they get kicked off this train, in order for them to not, you know, go in jail for having drugs in China, which, by the way, really bad. Don't have drugs in China. The only thing is that they get their passports stolen from by this girl, and I don't think that's ever resolved in the movie. Like, I think at some point they all separate, and it just kind of skips to them being back in America. And I think that is one thing that maybe there's a deleted scene somewhere, but oddly enough, I don't think they ever established how they got their passports back. And that feels like it was going to be a really big plot point, and it's kind of just dropped. They just never get them back, and they never see that girl again. She's just gone. You know, so the rest of the movie carries on, and they have their big fight, but it does kind of just, and then they're in America again. How that happened? I don't know how that happened. They don't have their passports. But in any case, yeah, I enjoyed the movie fine enough, and like I said, if you are, you know, if you share a background like some of these characters, you're probably gonna connect to this on a much deeper level than I did. But I did enjoy myself in any case. So there you go, Joyride. All right, let me know what you guys think, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.